I would like to talk about some level streaming and dynamically loading the levels at runtime and also control them on the scripting side. And basically, I have prepared 3 levels and a +1 for my persistent level. Basically, as you can see, there are some levels tab that I can open it on the Windows. And as you can see, there's a levels option, and it just directly creates this window for me. And in here, I am able to add the existing levels that I have created on the content browser, or I can create new levels from here too. So I just created a persistent level, which is basically an empty level in here, and I just called all the other level references in here. So let's check this. For example, for the level 1, I can directly toggle the level visibility. For level 2, and also let's add I am just going to add some sky sphere on my level, but I just want to only edit on the lighting map. So I will just double click and make sure that lighting map is selected. So I am going to, if I am going to add an actor, so it should be on the, it should be selected for the map that I want to add an actor. And I just double clicked on the lighting map, and let's call our sky sphere in here, for example. So the sky sphere level is added on the lighting map because, as you can see, it's highlighted in here. So basically, we can change this. We can change the visibility status of the levels on level blueprints or directly on the actors. So let's just work on the level blueprint for now. So I'm deleting them, and I will just create a new custom event for it. Change level, open level 1, for example. And for the calling the levels to stream it into buffer, for example, we can call open level. This will directly change the level, but we can call load stream level by object reference, or we can directly call it on the name. So let's call it by the object reference. So it will just create me a Dropbox for my levels. I'm just connecting it to my custom event. So every time when I call this custom event, it will try to open level 1. And we can leave a debug on it to level open it. For example, after the level 1 loading process is completed, we will just see a print screen that is specified as level 1 is opened. And we just need to make sure that make visible after load checkbox is true, because it will directly render it after the load. Or we can keep it in our memory to call or make the visible it later. So I will just hit play, and as you can see, there is no any level. So for the levels visibility, I just need to control them on here by right-clicking it, and as you can see, there are some options like change streaming method, and all the levels right now currently selected as blueprint. So I am only allowed to load these levels with blueprint. So maybe I can choose always loaded to make them load at the beginning of the instance, or I can call these levels in the directly blueprint. So we will go with the blueprints because if I change the streaming method always loaded, I will see these levels immediately when I press the play button. So we have a custom event that only loads level 1. Also, we can add some comments for us in the blueprints with simply pressing C key. And let's add some level streaming level 1. And let's call it after begin play with a little bit delay, like 4 seconds. And we are going to call this change the level, open level 1 custom event with after the begin play, we will execute a delay for 4 seconds, and we will going to trigger this custom event immediately. So let's try it. And I'm just going to make sure that we are seeing this. As you can see, our level is just loaded. So we can duplicate this logic in the level blueprints, or we can simply make it much more dynamic custom events. For example, I will just grab this level and I will drag and drop operation to my custom event. So, as you can see, there is a matching between the levels right now. And when I just check my custom event code, there will be levels. So, I can change my with F2 open streaming level to make it global. So, with this technique, I can only have one custom event, and with this custom event, I am able to open this level with just selecting it on the single custom event. So, it will only select, it will only execute it for the level 1. And after a while, we are going to wait for a little bit, then we will create for the second level. So we are just waiting. As you can see, it just loaded level 1 and level 2. So with a single custom element, we are able to run this function dynamically. And also we have a lighting level that we can load with the single custom element. And as you can see, it's all loaded, and we can see our lights in here. So we can have inputs for our custom elements, and we can directly send some parameters with that custom element or the functions as argument parameters. And after that, I just want to talk about some widgets. So I am going to create widgets folder and user interface and widget blueprints. And so widget blueprints are used for the user interfaces in the games or the motion design. And we can create this widgets even for the health bars, main menus, for the games especially, or we can create some KJ bars, I think, for the names, and we can add some animations to them. And I just want to show you a quick overview for the widget tools, basically. So I just need to add a canvas panel to collect all of them, all the components inside my widget palette. I can I am only adding a canvas panel, and I can collect all the components in this canvas panel. And I can change the resolution of it, resolution of the screen, according to my needs, or I can dynamically call this widget in the other widgets. And let's call it for a full screen in here, and I will just give 0 for the offset parameters. And I will add an image, for example, in here, and with this image component, I can just give some textures on it, or special materials we can design and we can assign it. There is a material domain for the user interfaces that we can change it, and we can use some texture manipulations on the material, or we can add some layer details on the materials, and we can assign it as 2D layers. For example, let's add a simple icon in here, and I am able to change the anchor points for these components easily. For example, let's create a bottom view for us. And I am just going to compile it and save it. So, as you can see, there's a animation line in here, so we can add some different animations for the components. So we can we can modify the transform datas, or size, or the textures, or the tints of the textures, etc. There are lots of variables in here that we can modify it. Let's add a single animation for us, just pop up, maybe. And when I created an animation and selected it, I will be able to select this timeline buttons, because in the normal, it asks me to select a valid animation, and for it, we have to create an animation firstly. So I am going to select an animation, and I can add some track based on the image. Also, I am able to change this component names in here. For example, let's call it icon red, and I will be able to see these names in here. So it's just like the timeline editor and the level sequencer tools. So, for example, we can add some transform, and we will just edit more and just play with the location of this image. So, as you can see this motion, and of course we will be able to play this animation with a single click. So, but first we have created our widget, but we never added to our instance. In order to do that, we have to create a widget for our palm, actually. Or mostly in the game development, we are just creating some classes like HUD manager, heads up, display managers to organize all of this on-screen graphics. But in our station, we can just directly create it on our level blueprint that is placed in the persistent level that I have created. So I am only going to call create widgets, and I am able to select the widget that I have created on my content browser in here. So it will just start the set the visibilities of this level. I am going to remove the delays. And we can create our widget. But creation isn't always enough, because we have to also get this widget into the viewport. So in order to do that, we have created our widget. We will get this created widget and we will add to viewport. Unfortunately, there are some processes like this, but we should be able to see it. As you can see, here is our widget, and we can use it for the 2D animations as we want. So we have created an animation, for example, on our widget. Let's open it. And this is our animation line, for example. So widget mode has two modes. One of them is responsible for designing the layout, and the second one is responsible for the scripting this animations or the widget logics, etc., or assigning some values to the text. For example, I can add a text in my widget. I just need to make sure that we are able to see it on the path that we wanted. So if we want it's on the bottom, so we are setting an anchor point to the bottom view. So text can be changed at runtime, or we can feed this text, for example, on the zero density Avid Maestro or the Wizardy easily. So, and also for the text block, I'm not sure, are you able to see it on here? Yes, there is a checkbox for the components that we have created. Some of them is going to be came as variable as default, but some of them is not going to be variable by default. So if we want to modify a component, and if it's not variable, it won't let us to change it dynamically. So we just need to click is variable to true, and we should be able to see it on our graph side. So we can get this. So we have a text block. We also have another tab for the animation that we have created on here called pop-up. So we can get this pop-up too. And for example, let's say that I just want to play an animation that we created. So I'm just going to drag a wire and play animation. So there are lots of play animation nodes, and they're all categorized in the widgets. So we are using a user interface, so we have to make sure that we are going to select it as user interface category for the playing animation. So just add a custom element for it, play UI animation, for example, and we'll simply call this, and we have some additional defaults in here to play the widget animations, and we can set it as reverse, forward, or the ping pong to create a forward and reverse animations at the same time. Also, we can change their playback speeds, and it will basically multiply this timeline for the specified float variable. So it can be slower on, or it can be at the default level. So when I call this play UI animation, we will be able to see this motion in real time. So how to call it? If you remember that we have created our widget in the level blueprint after the begin play. And we have a return value. This return value will provide us the widget we have created. It means we can access this custom element. And I will just get it basically in here, and I will just type play UI animation. So as you can see, this is the custom element that I have created on the widgets grep area. So, for example, we created it, and we will just wait a little bit with the delay note, and compile and save. So, and I just pressed play. As you can see, there is no any animation, but widget is added, and here is the animation trigger. So, how to call this animation on zero density, for example? We just need to expose it on a reality site, for example. We can use event dispatchers for it, or there are other techniques called interfaces, but I think the only event dispatchers will be enough. For example, let's create a new controller in the persistent level. I am just making sure that I will only add my created component will be added to persistent levels, but as you can see, it's highlighted, so it means it's selected right now. I will call my controller node in here, and with the Control E, I will just open it. So, on the event grep, I can type a custom event, or directly I can create some functions that is going to be exposed on the reality's UI. Let's create a function and play animation, for example. So, we created this widget on our persistent level, but our controller doesn't have any idea where the widget is created. So, we have to implement a logic that we will notify that we have pressed that button. So, in order to do that, we are going to use event dispatchers. We are going to make a call, and we are going to tell that this button is clicked. On the other hand, this is created on the controller. So, controller will be the actor that is exposed to the reality user interface. But the persistent level isn't have any idea with the zero density's reality or the UI. So, we will get the widget. For the getting the widgets reference, we will get their return value for the created widget, and we will just simply call. We will just create a binding for that call when we clicked our function. So, bind event, and let me check that dispatcher animation clicked is the name. So, bind. And I will just make sure that context sensitive is disabled, and I should be able to see them. Animation clicked. As you can see, there is a option bind event to dispatcher animation clicked. It is the dispatcher's name. So sorry, by the way, I am just doing it on the widget. We are already playing this on our controller. So we have to call it from our controller in order to play this widget in the widget's UI. So we have created our controller. We have created any call from our controller, and we will simply get this from controller, and we will find animation clicked in here. So this is the target, is the place that we have created. So let's just play it. in here. So we have the animations trigger function in here, but we have the button controller, button call in our controller. So when we clicked it, we will directly, when the instance started, we will see that widget is created, but on the controller side, we are only saying that listen the controller for this dispatch. And if this call happens, we can create new custom event by simply dragging and releasing the pins. And let's say that animation clicked on controller. And we can simply call this from the widgets. So let's play it. And we have just disconnected our playing animation sequence from the begin play. But we are only waiting for an input right now on the zero density's controller side. And we are not able to see it because I have to restart the engine. Sometimes it just disconnects and we just need to start it over to server, the ping to server. And just the persistent level. We are not able to see it again. Yeah, it's worked. Yeah. So let's add our. If someone remembers how to expose these actors to the UI for the zero density solution. No? No one? Great. How to expose an actor to the zero density reality site? This was the question. No? Great. We are just simply adding some ZD actor. Yes, ZD actor. ZD actor, and it will be responsible for exposing all the blueprints and the functions and the variables to the user interface of the reality site. So let's just call it ask BP controller, and we should be able to see this controller. And let's play it, and here we go. So we can create our 3D assets on the widgets area, and we can give some animations. Also, we can update the this text in the here. So is it clear, or you just want me to see? You just want some clarifications for the dispatchers? It can be quite complex, but actually it's very easy. One side we need to call, and the other side we need to create a bind event for this call. Is it okay? Oh, great.
I've never went into this detail doing something, so.
Yeah, it will be good for you, I think. Okay. So, for example, we can just edit our text block, for example. Okay. For the giving a text for our widget, we can simply get this text block, and if we can see our text block or the other components, we just need to make sure that is variable is checked, so it exposes it to the grep section. And text block is here. I'm just simply getting the set text, and as you can see, we can add some text. So when you search your main function, your main purpose in English, it will just give you samples of the functions that you can create with this actor. But if you deselect this context sensitive, it will just give you all the possible actions for the given. God bless you. So we have just get the main function for the editing the text, but for it, let's provide a custom element for it, and let's call it a set text UI. We can simply release it, drag and drop operation, and we can get this in text into our custom element, and it will create us a new field for this custom element, and set text UI will be our new custom element that we can provide information to text that is going to be changed when we call it. So let's create. Do you have any idea how to provide text for our UI? For the reality input, maybe? Yes. We just need to provide a text on the reality side to UI, for example. How to do that? Do you have any idea? No? Let's just make a little brainstorming. I'm sure we can find it. So we are able to just play a button, just click a button, and we are able to play an animation. So let's start with the basics. What will be happen if you create if we hit a button for the editing a text?
Change, no?
Yes, this is the main idea. So we just need a button to make this call that we have created on the widget.
You can align it as well. It could be the same button.
Yes, or we can separate another button, right? For the buttons, we are just creating a function. So each function will represent as it is another button. So we just need to provide an input, provide a text for this field. Let's let's create a variable that for the string. Let's call it name, and we need to change the variable type because right now it's selected Boolean. So yes, string, great. But I am not sure is reality works with the direct string. Maybe we need to change it as text later, but we will check it. So as you can see, I just added a variable in here, and there is a icon in here. And please check the description. Variable is not public, and we need to, if we need to change a variable, we just need to make it public. Yes.
We can't change it in game. It will be assigned.
Actually, it will be basically input for us to change it. Yes. And I just clicked on this button, and as you can see, it's public. There's an icon, how to pronounce it, I'm not sure. And I will just press play, and let's check. Controller has the name. Yes, as you can see, we have a name field in here that is defined in our controller, and to see it, we just need to click up this public icon. So it will just create a new reference point for the name variable, and we will send this name variable to the widget to update it. And let's say it's update name clicked. I am just basically really giving this dispatcher to here, and when we clicked our update name, it will call this. The main idea is we are going to bind this event when it's clicked. We are going to get this name and we will send it to the widget. Functions in here, all the variable infos in here. So basically I can get the name, basically just typing gets and the variable names that we have created, which is great because also we can set it also. There are two main concepts that we need to learn, get and set. And we will get this name that we have typed, and we are just basically create a new bind event dispatcher for update name clicked. And for this one, we need to also create a custom event. Custom event. So it will be this will be responsible to when this bind happened, when this call happened. And it just basically waits an input when we assign a bind event to with the custom event. So let's call it like updates. So when you call this set text UI, for example, it will ask you a text, and basically whatever you provide an input, it doesn't matter, it will just directly change this text block. So we can call it anywhere we want, but we have to make sure that we have a valid reference point for the widgets, for example. We created our widgets on the level blueprint, so we are just trying to create some connections between widgets and the other actors and the levels in the level blueprints. Yeah. So, and this is the place that we are going to make the main call for changing the text, which is provided by the widgets that we created in here. We created it, we added on the screen, we just created some colors, we just created some binding events and the listeners for another blueprints, and just getting the variables, and we will send these parameters to the UI, basically. Let's make a call it, and I'm going to add reroute nodes in here, and let's call it set text UI. Let's just try to combine the name. So this name will try, it will be coming from our controller that we have created in here as variable. So let's click play and let's check this controller. Example 1 again. And let's try it. As you can see, we have just modified the text basically, and with a single click. And also we can add some animations for it, and we can create another animations, or we can define some branches, we can create some conditional situational loops, and we can combine them with a single click. This is the main point, and we can create some connections between all of the components or the actors in here. So we have this designer mode, and for example, for the pop-up, let's add another image in here. For example, I'm sorry, I just need to add this screen. You can see this palette in here. We have some progress bar, text, checkbox, buttons, and we have some combo box strings that can selectable, and it will be totally dynamic if we provide some options in here, so we can create on our own customized UIs in the context of Unreal Engine editor, by the way. So we have added an image, and let's start it from the left side of the bottom. Let's make this one, and it's out of the screen right now, as you can see. Let's create another animation for the extent bottom bar, for example, and bottom bar will be our image's variable name. And we will add some track, and let's just try to modify this image from 0 in, let's make it scale, for example. As you can see, we can edit, and we can also have some translation in here. So it will just create this motion when we just trigger this extend bottom bar play animation. It's another totally, it's completely different animation, for example, and we don't have any animation reference point for this right now. So we just need to create another button for it, or we can dynamically change this. For example, instead of pop-up, we will directly provide this animation. So we can have this play animation, and it will just continue to same logic for the playing animation, but our animation is going to be changed because we have changed it from the source right now. Let's try it. And here's my controller and play animation, and as you can see, also in the widget blueprints we can have some Z order parameter in here. For example, if the bottom bar can be in the background of it, like -2. Let's just try to check it. Sorry. And controller and the play animation, and as you can see, it's in the background right now when we change it to Z order. So we can provide or attach the text on it, and we can make some cool UI or bar designs for the KJS, etc. So we will keep it short, and we are just going to work on the widgets. I am just going to create a new level. And for the graphics that we can modify for the Unreal Engine, we are going to use widget blueprints actually. I just need to check this. Let's make it. Great. So I am just going to create a new widget blueprint on the content browser by selecting widget blueprints and VB for the prefix or widget blueprints, and widget 2 will be enough. So in the widgets we have two segments, two tabs, one of them for design and one of them for creating grab. So grab will be, we are going to use grab screen for the creating some scripts on this graphics, and we can simply drag and drop operations for the widgets. For example, let's create a bar in bottom of the screen, and we can create an anchor point for it. And I am just moving it to my off screen because I am going to add some animations, and when we trigger these animations, we will try to trigger this animation on the zero density side basically. So I am just clicking on add animation and play UI, for example, and I just need to select the animation, and I am able to add some tracks on here, for example, image 0, and I can add some values from the components, for example, transform, and I can just move it, and I can change the transform like this. So it didn't work, sorry. I'm just going to scale it from here, and let's scale it like this, and we can move it a little bit. So it will be our keys, and as you can see, we have the animation in the widgets. So we will just we can on the graph screen we can see the play UI animation, and we can get it. So to play it, we can basically add a custom element as always with it, and we are just going to give a name on it, play animation UI, for example, and I am just going to drag a wire in here, and I will search for a play animation. So play animation, there are lots of play animation nodes actually, because this play animation nodes can be for the skeletal meshes or the UI for the 2D graphics, but so our context is related with the 2D graphics. So user interface, just we need to make sure that it's under the user interface. Also, you will recognize it. It should be able to get an animation in the widgets. So if you add some play animation node and you will see some different targets, just check this targets, because as you can see, target is user widget, and there are lots of play animation, as I mentioned. If I click this, for example, play animation, play anim single node instance for the target is. So it's just looking for a target that is anim single node instance. So in our situation, it's the user widget. So basically, we can set their play mode, like forward or reverse, or forward and reverse again for the ping pong mode. And we can change their speed as dynamically as we want. So we have created our widget, we added a component, and we have created a new animation, and we just implemented a custom element for our playing the animation in here. So let's create a new controller for this. BP controller as the actor, and I am just going to drop it to my scene, and for the exposing it to the zero density, I am just going to create a ZD components, and let's call it ZD controller. So in my controller, I am going to define some functions basically, and this function will be responsible for to call user animation to play it. So let's call it play UI animation, and so let's play click, and as you can see, there is no any UI because that's because we haven't created any widgets and or assigned it to the screen. So we can open the level blueprints, and on the begin play, you can see that we have a create widget node basically, and the class will be responsible for all the widget classes, and we should be able to see our widgets that we have created on the content browser in here. It will basically fetch all the widgets, and we will just creating it, and after the creation progress, we are not able to see it again because we have to add it to our viewports. So, by the way, I am planning to share this project with you after this session. I will just make some modifications and share with you, maybe with the Google Drive, so you can check these examples. So, create widgets. So, we have this widget right now. For example, sorry, and we have a play animation UI custom element. We just need to call it, for example, after the creation. We can directly call it play animation UI. After the creation, let's add a little bit delay and play it. And as you can see, we have the animation triggered by automatically after the begin play process. So how to trigger it? We just need to create a listener for our function, and in order to do that, as you can see, there's a function, and here's the BP controller, but there's nothing to trigger it actually on our animation, because we haven't implemented any function call. So for it, we are just going to create some event dispatchers, like play the event dispatcher UI, for example, and we are just simply call it on the controller. And on the level blueprint side, I am just deleting this because we will trigger it with a function with a button. So we have the controller and we have the function in here, and we are just telling that if this play UI animation is triggered, we are going to call this event dispatcher, and the other side we are going to listen this dispatcher for any incoming call basically. So on our level blueprint the place that we have created the widget, we are going to get our controller in here, create a reference to BP controller, and we are just going to type an event dispatcher, event dispatcher UI for in the controller. We created a dispatcher. So dispatcher will be listening it as binding an event. So we just created it, and we are going to assign a event if any call makes on this event dispatcher. We are going to call it, and after that we will trigger the bind event to event dispatcher user interface to make it work this call. So what will happen on this call? Events play UI, for example. So when this function triggered, it will create a call, and our binded events on the controller will play this events, and this events will be responsible to play our animation on the widget side. So we created the widget 2 in here, and we have the play animation UI custom event in the widget 2. So on the created widget, we are just going to call play animation UI, as you can see, and are going to simply plug it. And let's try it. And I just want to show you that how the binding works. It's playing. I think the connection just have some problems. Let's try it again. So we have the controller in here. As you can see, we have the two entries in here, and when I clicked it, as you can see, it's just triggered. So this is the basics of the interface calls and the binding events. That's all. Thank you. Thanks so much.